This session will be about obviously exploring tech career in data analytics and science. Uh, Primarily, I'll be focusing on points which I've learned from my own personal experience of 7 years working in the data analytics. And I'll take you through the content. It will be mostly about giving you a quick context of what we'll be focusing on in this session, and going through the what sort of roles do we see in data, and what sort of challenges you'll be facing, how to navigate through the job industry, what sort of industries you could be focusing on, and towards the end we'll have like a quick Q&A section as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Starting with just a quick introduction about myself. So I have like 7 years of data analytics experience working across consulting as well as tech startups in India and UK. And I've primarily worked in data analytics role itself. And I have experience across various tools, from like SQL to Python, various BI tools, Git, BigQuery, etc. And the kind of impact that I've created with the businesses that I've worked with have been ranging from helping the business drive revenue growth, achieving their yearly targets in sales, using things like A/B testing, other data analytics process, helping them to achieve process optimization, things like that. Um, Okay, talking about today's tech industry, it is ever changing. We all know that, right? But just wanted to like highlight three major points around it, which is very important before getting into our discussion about roles, jobs, etc. So these points are to start with the rapid innovation. Tech industry is changing every day around us, and it's changing super fast. The skills or the technologies which were needed, let's say last year, has changed tremendously. If you look at the job market, the companies who are hiring data analytics, data scientists, what's new today could change tomorrow. We are all talking about things like artificial intelligence, LLMs, machine learning, things like that. So I'll also talk a bit about how the roles in data will be integrated with the AI that everyone is talking about today, and why we should be on top of it. Then the must have skill, like there are like a list of skills that we should be learning about, like SQL, Python, etc., etc. But the most important thing, and this is coming from personal experience, that we all need to have is adaptability, like how fast or how quickly you want to learn and be on top of the skills which are needed in the market. And most of the times when you're working in a certain company, you lose track of what is happening in the market. So I'll also be covering certain points around it, like how you can be aware of what new things are coming around you, and how you can follow those things. So that is a very very important point. On the basis of these ever changing skills, the jobs around you keeps changing. um Now the third thing, which is again very important, like previously, like when I was like growing in my field of data analytics, I used to hear in the beginning that like we just have to learn like these things and we're done. But today that's not the case. Every single day something new will be coming, and you'll have to be on the top of that. So continuous learning, that mindset is very important. um, Now talking about the job opportunities that we have in data, there are lots of new roles which are coming up from day to day, but I'll be talking about just these three roles very briefly: data analyst, data engineer, and data scientist. And to start with data analyst, so there's a very like all of these three roles are quite interdependent. You can't work in silo in any one of them. um, but let's talk about each of one of them. Like data analyst, um, the role primarily focus around like analyzing the historical data. For example, let's say you're working in a bank, you try to look into all the historical data of the customers, uh, which the bank has under them, and then you help the bank understand, okay, which are the active customers, which are the customers whom you can sell your credit cards to. So that sort of thing a data analyst would try to understand and help the bank to, increase their business. Now, the data engineer, where do they come into the role? So as you all of us, we hear from time to time that that data is just increasing every single day, like structured, unstructured text. Data is just bombarding in terms of volume, and it's becoming very difficult over the years for the companies to maintain this data, to structure out this data. So this data engineering role, this was primarily focused on building data pipelines, which means, like, getting all the data that we have coming from, let's say, sales, from marketing, from product, different areas, just gathering all of them and creating a structured pipeline out of it, so that other teams in the company can use this data more accurately or with more confidence. So that was the role of the data engineers and the data scientist. So the data scientist, primarily the role focuses on building the machine learning models, like using all the ML techniques, the stats, like, let's say, predictive models. For example, um, let's say we are talking about, Amazon. We all know about Amazon, right? So let's take an example of, let's say Amazon wants to, predict next year, or in the new years, how many sales are they expecting. So that sort of predictive model or predictive building, a data scientist would be expected to do. Talking about the skills, so I've just I won't go through each one of them and bore you, but I've just mentioned some of the technical and the soft skills which are very, very important. Briefly speaking, with my experience, I can say that these roles are more or less, divided by a very thin line. So let's say, for example, if you're working on as a data analyst, that as I have been working in various companies, I was not restricted to just work on analyzing the historical data, but I have also worked on building the machine learning models. So what I'm trying to say is that even though if you are a data analyst, you could be building models and working, the things that a data scientist would be working on. I, for example, have built some of the data pipelines using BigQuery, Airflow, things like that. So even though I am a data analyst, I might have worked on some of the data engineering projects. So why I'm sharing that particular information with you guys is because um, that is the beauty of the things, of the skills that are changing every single day in the market. Even though I got into the market as a data analyst, but there are so many things around building models or building pipelines that I had to learn to stay relevant in the market, and to be on top of everything. So yeah, so this information that I'm sharing is for understanding on an overall view of how these roles look like. But as many of you would already know, if you're working in the field, that it's quite interchangeable, and you would be learning like more of other data roles as well. And going further, talking about the kind of the kind of industries where you can work. So the list is endless, like every other business that you look around, be it a local bakery or be it a hospital or an insurance company, anything and everything. At every place, people use data. So there is a requirement of a data analyst or a data scientist or a data engineer to get the data and make use out of it, because most people in a company do not understand data. So it's the role of these particular people, like data analysts or data scientists, to get this data and make sense out of it. So what I'm trying to say is that the opportunities that you see today in the field of data and that is going to come in the future are endless, and it's just increasing every single day with more AI, more ML, technological advancements coming into the picture. Some of the examples that I'm going to share here are from UK, but if you look at the market or the industry that I'm talking about is globally relevant. For example, the banking sector. So the banking sector, there are banks, global banks across the world, right? So talking about Credit Suisse or Monzo, Revolut, or any other bank across the world, there is a requirement of data analyst and data scientists and data engineers, of course. So be it starting from just gathering the data, um, manipulating the data, getting some sense out of it, and be it building predictive models or some sort of time series models, or just building a pipeline for the company. For all of these requirements, banking is a major industry that they keep hiring for these roles. Similarly, for healthcare and insurance. So healthcare and insurance, this is an industry which is never going to go down. It's just increasing and increasing if you look at the latest trends. So these are the industries which are going to definitely hire for data folks. Similarly, for e-commerce companies like Amazon, there is an ongoing requirement for data people. Talking about travel and tourism, companies like British Airways, Qatar International, all of these airlines also keep hiring data people, but like it would be a little less from other industries comparatively. Then talking about the food and beverage. So as I gave the example of, even the local bakery or a company big as Starbucks would need someone to streamline their data and help them drive their business through data. So these are some of the industries that I'm sharing as an example, but there could be uh, like so many more industries there you can look for jobs across all of these roles. um, Moving ahead, specifically, I wanted to talk about certain skills needed in the field of data analytics. Reason being, given my expertise in data analytics, I specifically know, like what sort of roles um, people look for or businesses look for. And since I myself have been doing, hiring, I know like what do interviewers look for you to know. So I've divided this whole skill set into three chunks, like beginner, experienced, and a bit of expert data analyst. When you're a beginner, I mean, beginner, by that what I mean that you're fresh out of, like, you're an undergrad, and you're looking for a job. People do not expect you to know everything, but there is basic requirements, like for example, we expect you to know Excel. This is a mandate, like Excel, you should know how to crunch data. By crunch data, I mean, like, get the data in Excel. You should know how to understand or analyze it. Just try to learn all the functions, like grouping the data, understanding the trend in the data, things like that in Excel. This is a mandate, like everyone expects, even if you're a beginner, you to know it. It's really good if you are also aware of the basics of SQL, because SQL is kind of a bread and butter in the data industry. It is like an expected thing. So if you're a beginner, it's good to know SQL. Python are completely optional. Like most companies do not expect you to, but it's like you'll have an extra advantage if you know at least one of the BI tools. It is important for, even if you're a beginner, to just try to learn at least one of the BI tool, and good in communication. Obviously, all of these skills, I mean, could feel a little overwhelming for any one of you if you're a beginner, but the expectation here is that, how do you differentiate yourself from someone else who is also looking for the same job? So build your expertise. I'm not saying become an expert like 10 on 10, but um, like interviewers like me would want to you know try to see like what extra additional effort that you have made into getting this job. So if you have learned SQL on your own, if you have created a project based on SQL on your own and posted it on GitHub, that gives you an additional advantage over everyone else who is looking for the same job. So that is the, you know uh, why I've added this in the beginner level section as well. Now if you are in experience, like let's say 3 years plus, then there are more things that that's expected from you. Like for example, SQL, of course. Then there are certain tools that comes into SQL that is expected, like at least one of it you should be, you should have hands-on experience of, not just knowing but hands-on experience, like crunching SQL on BigQuery or Snowflake or Redshift, any one of that. Python or R, it is expected, like at least one of it. If you ask me, like my personal experience, I would definitely recommend go ahead with Python because it has um, much more applications in terms of like over your career, like in terms of crunching the data, in terms of analyzing the data, in terms of like building models. So Python is like something I would really recommend. um, and other things like BI tool, of course, you need to know. Strong communication, definitely. And stakeholder management. This is something that you learn over your job, like, how to handle projects, how to um, run projects end to end, how to communicate what you have built to the audience or to your client. And getting into the expert section, the 7 years plus. So, as you would have seen, all the skill sets remain kind of similar, it's just growing in the list. What I'm trying to tell you here is you'll start learning SQL and Python as a beginner, but you'll have to just build and become an expert in those fields. And more things will get added. Like for example, if you're an expert data analyst, you'll be expected to like have machine learning experience building models. Um, you would have experience in experimentation, and things like that. Now the most important thing for anyone working in the data field is, most important thing, even more important that than like what tools or what skill sets you have, is how do you communicate your solution to someone. And this is something that I have struggled myself in my experience, and I've seen so many people out there in the data field struggling. And this is something that will differentiate you from other data analysts or data scientists in who are working with you. And the point that I'm trying to say is that how do you communicate whatever you have built, even if you have solved the most complicated data problem and you have your solution, it won't matter if you're not able to explain it to your business folks or your stakeholders in the most simplest way. So this is one learning I would really want you guys to take it away from this session. Yeah. So, moving on to how to look for a job. There are certain links that I've shared here, but for example, OTA, it is specific to UK and EU, but you can definitely find a lot of other links from Google where you can um, look for jobs. But the most important things that I'm trying to focus here is how to make your resume stand out. Like today, everyone is creating a resume and sending it to companies, and a lot of it is getting rejected. Um, Few reasons of that is, firstly, your resume might not be matching the job description or the keywords that are mentioned in the job. So that is a very important project to note. Secondly, your resume might not stand out. So some of the points that I've mentioned here is to make your resume stand out, and these are like from my personal experience. So, and by looking at people around like who are doing great in the data career. So these are some of the learnings that you can maybe take away and try to implement. And some of them are like showcasing the personal projects that you're building on GitHub or a personal website. Share your learning on LinkedIn so that people can learn from you, and you can also like learn from others. And join the data communities, attend conferences and events. I have also add like be sharing this point further in my upcoming slide, but yeah, these are some of the ways you can keep your resume stand out in any job application. The process to apply for data analytics job, I'll be super quick here, because we are like very close on time. Three main points: build your resume. Obviously we all are doing it, but keep it very very crisp, to the point, matching it to the job that you are applying for. And obviously keep it relevant to only on the things that you have worked on. Find the jobs on the the respective job portals, and reach out to people on LinkedIn, get referrals. Referral is one way that I have realized in my career, and I've learned from so many people around that people who are referred uh, to a job get more preference, better preference, obviously provided that you are relevant for the job. But get a referral, and there's a sure sort way that I've provided you to get referral from someone. Because I've seen so many people just reaching out to, for example, me, and asking, please refer me for this job. Honestly, that's not a very the best way to go about it, and most people won't respond to you. So this is one of the best ways that I've found that has worked for me and so many people around me. Like, introduce yourself crisply, share your request, and share the exact link, and also tell them why you are relevant for the job. It makes them easier to refer you for the job, and helps you get the referral as well. Now, the roadmap for success. There are just three main important points that I wanted to share with you guys. Um, Skill development and specialization. It is very, very important. But I would recommend that the technical and the soft skills are equally important. And this is coming from, the point that I shared, that how you communicate or how you share your solution is one of the critical points. It is actually sometimes more important than how you have built the solution. So please, please, please focus on that. Then another thing that I've learned from experience is that people also, like businesses, also look for folks who have become data expert in specific domain. Like, let's say if you have worked in, data analytics or data science in healthcare or finance, this is not a mandate, but if you have become an expert in a certain domain, that is like an icing on the cake. um, Now stay updated of what's happening around you. And how can you stay updated is by reading the data blogs. A lot of people write blogs. There are various data influencers you can follow and attend a data conference. This is something that I've learned from my experience, that a lot of amazing people are out there on social media, and I've written some of the recommendations here, like Ishwarya Srinivasan, Alex, Zach Wilson, Ali K. Miller. These are the people that I religiously follow on Instagram and LinkedIn, because they share amazing content around, what's happening around in data and AI. Then on the day-to-day stuff, like how to learn certain technologies, how to learn certain models, or how to be a better data analyst or data scientist, things like that. And it's amazing, like it's amazing. So I would highly recommend follow these or more people whom you find relatable or great to learn from. Now stay Another important point is kind of stay proactive in building your career. Uh, so I mean, like, you have to think ahead, like, what do you want, why do you want, plan it out, reach out to people. So you have to be in the driving seat of your career. It's a very important point. We often, like, forget in our day-to-day job. But this is very, very important. And one last point before we wrap up, and we can have the Q&A, is networking and building your personal brand. It's very important. Because, like, how we say that, working alone or working in a team, always go for working in a team, because that's the way for winning. So build your professional network, have one-on-one catch-ups with people in your network. Try to see where you can help them with your experience and data, and engage with their content. Attend virtual or local meetups, and build your personal brand. Whatever you're learning, try to share it, help people through it. Mentor people who are, you know trying to walk through the same path that you have already done. So yeah, these are the some of the recommendations which I really, really believe are a critical part of success. Yeah, I'll just stop now. So do you guys have any questions, anything? Okay. um Yeah, 1 second. How did you post? Yeah, so there's a question in the chat, that how did I get into the job in the UK, because I had a very completely different studies. I had done chemical engineering BTech from India, and then I got a job in the UK. Uh, sorry. So a quick answer to that is, as a fresher, I was good in like Excel, and it was like 7 years back. So times have changed. Currently, the expectations from freshers are a lot. Like you're expected to know Excel, SQL, lot of other things. At that time, I knew Excel. I was good at it. I had done engineering, so my analytics skills were really good. Like understanding data and like good problem solving skills. So these are the 2 3 points on the basis of which we had our college recruitments. The companies came and tried to recruit people who were good analytically, and I was hired. But all of these things that I've learned over the time in this past 7 years have been, I would say, kind of a self learning experience over the job, or trying to learn from by courses or through mentors. Yeah, I hope that helped you. And yeah, just one more point, how I got a job in the UK. So I was transferred through the same job from India to the UK. And then in UK, when I came to the UK, I worked for 1.5 years in the same company. But then I tried to understand the UK job scenario, how it was very different from, the India job market. And then I tried to upskill myself on the tools and skills that were needed in the UK market, and I tried looking for new jobs here through platforms like Ota and LinkedIn, reaching out to people, talking to them about any vacancies in their company. Yeah, that's how. Hope this answered your question. What resources you recommend in research or academy with skills from data analytics in research or academia? Okay. Um I wouldn't have a short answer for this because I haven't worked in research or academia myself. But however, I'll really recommend going through LinkedIn. Find people who are working in this field that you are looking for. Let's say you are looking for neuroanalytics, PhD, something like that, whatever keyword you're referring to. Look for that in LinkedIn, find those specific people, try to look for, um, their journey, try to reach out to them, ask them specific questions to the point, what help do you need? And that will help you to get a clear cut idea of how to look for such jobs. Between UK and India, different job market between UK and India. Okay, so it is different and same, both I'll say. Same in the sense that the kind of problems that you cater to, be it driving revenue, or just helping our business to grow, or just helping business to understand the customers better. Those are the things which is common across the globe, UK, India, or whichever country you're looking for. In terms of tech, it would be a little different. The reason being, when I was looking for, when I moved to UK, and then I started looking for a job here, the kind of tech that I was using in India was a little different. It could be very very simple, as for example, the BI tools that you're using. Let's say, for example, most of the startups here prefer using Looker as a BI tool, but in India, similar startups could be using, another dashboarding tool, like, let's say, Tableau. So it could be really small things. So you would have to look through the job descriptions across India and UK to understand these differences. But more or less, these are very similar, I would say. Like, if you're good at one tool, it is super easy to get yourself upgraded on the similar other tools.